Welcome to AXXON Mycronic here in Guadalajara. They're part of the Swedish conglomerate Mycronic, who acquired the company in 2016. At that time, AXXON was the largest manufacturer of dispensing equipment and coating equipment in China. Fast forward to today, and they are now the largest in the world by sales volume. What has caused this meteoric growth? Well, let's go and ask the guy who's running things here in Mexico, Jeff Leal. So hi Jeff, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Trevor.
Yeah, so you're the Business Development and Strategy Director. Congratulations, it's a beautiful facility.
Thank you.
So far. So tell us a little bit about the background. What's the AXXON story that brought you here?
So, as you know, AXXON was acquired by Mycronic in 2016, 2017. I think you mentioned something about that. We discussed that already.
Yep.
But if I want to bring to more recent history and why we're here today. This year, in June 3rd, we did the inauguration of our Mexico facility. It's the first subsidiary that we're building under AXXON Mycronic. So AXXON, as you mentioned, is a part of Mycronic, but AXXON Mycronic as a business vertical for the Mycronic group is solely focused for dispensing and coating applications.
Right.
So anything that has to do with materials deposition, we have a system for that, whether it's front-end semiconductor, wafer-level packaging, all the way to back-end industrial assemblies, whether you're talking about a fridge, right? That kind of industrial or automotive, thermal interface materials. So we have the whole gamut.
As a company, AXXON Mycronic is a huge business with over 900 employees worldwide. These are divided over several business verticals to ensure AXXON Mycronic can provide specialized support where needed. I asked Jeff how the support structure was organized in Mexico and North America.
Now, to be able to support the whole gamut, you really need a strong team, right? So at AXXON Mycronic, there's over 900 employees just focused on dispensing and coating.
Wow.
And we have engineering teams for each one of the different machine types that we build. And I think that's one of the key things. Mexico is the single largest dispensing market outside of China. And a lot of the large EMSs, a lot of the OEMs, and a lot of the customers that we're servicing have operations in Mexico and are growing their operations in Mexico. Right. To be able to service our customers in the way that they're used to being serviced, we decided instead of going through a distributor, to come direct. Right? We have over 15 field service engineers that are focused to service the Mexican territory, and when needed, they go to the U.S. For the U.S., we also have 2 service engineers that are based in the U.S.
Right.
So, but service is centrally located here and managed here in Mexico. We have application engineering, where some service engineers do double duty as field service and applications. We have a dedicated application lead, right, who's experienced in all the equipment. And then we have our field service manager as well, so service is a big thing.
Service and support are indeed a massive deal in Mexico. The risk posed to manufacturers who employ undocumented or uninsured labour is considerable. Consequently, AXXON Mycronic has invested and continues to invest heavily into hiring and training qualified engineers with product-specific expertise.
Here, per se, I think one thing that I haven't told you yet is that instead of an office or a field office, this is our first subsidiary for AXXON Mycronic outside of Asia, right, outside of China.
I see.
In total, there's about 28 people servicing the subsidiary, and besides applications and sales and service, we also have our spare parts hub here for the Americas. So we need our own logistics team, and we have foreseen some light manufacturing in the future.
Right.
So we have some floor space reserved for that. In total, we have over 600 square meters of floor space here.
That's right, built over these 3 floors, so it's quite a big building. Just going back on the service thing for a little while, Jeff. I mean, one of the issues one of the specific areas you have in servicing is that your engineers are trained in specific vertical areas. You're not guys that are trying to do everything.
True.
Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
So if we go back to how we operate from R&D, we have our own R&D teams for industrial dispensing, conformal coating, normal dispensing, which is SMT level dispensing. And as a product line, we have tabletops, which is its own thing. And then we have engineering teams for specials, because we have, for example, conformal coating inspection. We have proprietary inspection systems that we sell as an accessory to our industrial dispensing systems, for example.
Right.
So we have teams dedicated to that. Our field service engineers, the field service team, the ones that we have here on the floor need to know everything, right? So they get taught on every single machine, but then we have specialists, right? So that's how we have generalists and specialists to be able to service the areas. and that way the team helps each other grow.
That's great. That's great. So I'm looking at the machines behind us in this room, Jeff, and there's a huge array of beautiful Mycronic AXXON machines. Shall we take a walk around and maybe have a look, and you can explain what each of them do?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
So if we can start here,
Yeah.
this is our standard dispensing platform. It's the MyD10. It's a general purpose dispenser. This one is equipped with our APJ 1500 jetting valve. It's a general purpose jetting valve.
Yes.
Normally used for SMT, underfill type of applications. So if you're looking for a general purpose dispenser, this would probably be the base platform that we'd start you off from.
Right.
Right?
And what sort of materials would this typically be dispensing? This, would be...
This can do SMAs, underfill, silver epoxies, basically any jetterable material.
Right, right, okay.
We have a family of valves called
Yes.
APJ, and we'll walk you through some of the valves. And if you come at the show in SMT Guadalajara, you'll be able to see them. But we have a family of jet valves for different types of materials.
Yep.
So the general purpose, as I mentioned before, is the 1500. We have the APJ 2000, which can operate at higher frequencies. We have the APJ 3000, that's for hot melt, and then we have the APJ 5000, which can do solder paste.
Wow.
But this one here cannot do solder paste.
Cannot do solder paste. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Let's move on down here and have a look at our next machine. You've got a little mixer there behind us, but that's just a...
That's the material prep that we have for some of the materials.
Prep,
yeah.
exactly. So what are we looking? This is a stencil printer.
This is a stencil printer.
Okay.
So this one is not an AXXON Mycronic machine. This actually belongs to another Mycronic division, HF.
Yeah.
Part of Mycronic family, so we have the systems here, right? They're also for sales and service here in Mexico, because they also have the capability to do sales and service.
So is the reason that you've got them here for demonstration for sales, or is it for people that are using the apps lab here to do any testing or anything?
It's mainly for sales demonstrations for HF customers.
Okay.
So they can bring in their customers to his lab as well. I mean, we're on family anyway, so they come in, they use the machines just as we use ours.
Excellent.
Right?
Okay. Okay. So moving on down, we've also got the inspection system.
Yep, we have the SPIs, solder paste inspection.
Yep.
And then we have the AOI, which is an automated optical inspection.
That's true.
Again, these are the general purpose SMT machines that Mycronic offers for all SMT assemblies.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that are part of the HF division.
Excellent. Okay. Good. So let's move around to the other side, which has got really
Careful with the elevator.
We'll try and avoid the elevator. We've got all your dispensing and coding systems down this side. So this is where we really come into into your own.
Yeah, we have Alberto working on one of the applications right now. This is actually a full coding line that we have here. So it's not only for demo purposes, but we actually can create the demo for the customer, run it through the entire line, so you can see what a full AXXON Mycronic line looks like.
Looks like, yeah. Okay.
So everything that you see on this line is manufactured by AXXON Mycronic, and I think that's one of the things that differentiate us from our competition is that we are a dispensing company, but our roots are in automation.
I see. Okay.
So when it comes to automation of material handling, material inverters, when it comes to creating a UV oven or single purpose inspection machines, for example, or measurement equipment, we can design those as part of a line solution for a customer.
You can customize these things and you build them yourselves, basically.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And one of the things I noticed when we looked at this a little bit earlier was that you were talking about nano coating materials.
Yes.
Talk us through how this system here handles the nano coatings.
So nano coating materials are a new on the block, right?
Yeah.
These are materials that you do not need to selectively coat, so it's beautiful for when you're designing a board.
Right.
And then it doesn't require a specialized selective spraying as many other, common form of coating materials need. But what you do need is to treat the material and maintain the material in suspension.
Yes.
Right? For the nano coating to be effective.
Right.
So the valve technology that we developed for nano coatings is recirculating. It doesn't have as long of a nozzle, so you can have a wider spray area and cover more area, right? The key is actually how we treat the material in suspension. So it's in a tank, it's in constant soft recirculation, right? And then we have our own proprietary systems of how we maintain those pressures and the flows uniform throughout. And you can refill externally while the machine is running without having to stop at all.
Okay. And this is an example of the tanks behind you.
This is an example of the secret sauce, so to speak. These are the two tanks. So one is a recirculation and treatment system, and one is the tank and mixing system.
Modern valve technologies are now extremely accurate, enabling tight line definition and even coverage across the board. This reduces the need for costly masking of edge connectors and keep-out zones. So let's move further up the line, see what we have.
So here you'll have what, this is not a flash-off conveyor. It's just a general conveyor. Flash-off conveyors would be hooded with a vent. But we do have a UV oven that we make and design ourselves.
Okay.
So with the UV ovens, we have UV ovens that work with fusion lamps or LED lamps or arcs if customer prefer arcs.
Okay.
So the curing source we can customize for the application.
Customize the curing source. Okay, excellent. So that cures the coatings.
Yes.
Okay. And then we come further up here and we have...
This is one of the only specialized inspection solutions that we make at AXXON Mycronic. That's fully customizable for conformal coating, right?
Right.
It's a line scanner that it scans the entire board.
Yes.
It could do top and bottom scanning in 25 seconds, right?
Wow.
And based on the line scan and the UV tracers in the materials will fluoresce differently. And depending on how the materials fluoresce, we can measure the thickness of the materials.
That was going to be my next question. How
Yes.
do you manage how do you measure the thickness?
Yes. If you know what a heat map looks like, you'll get kind of like a heat map, but it'll just be a topological map of the coating on the surface of the part.
Okay. And then the other thing, of course, you're looking for is defects like bubbles and that sort of thing.
Yes, it could do cracks, orange peel, bubbles.
Right.
You can look at specific areas. You can look at the entire board. You can measure specific areas, or once you capture an image, you can go over any specific point and it'll tell you the height.
Okay. Excellent. Good. So, moving swiftly on, we're coming towards the...
So now we're coming to our industrial dispensers. Industrial dispensing is its own thing, right?
Yep.
It's not like the first dispenser that we saw at the beginning that you saw. It was a little bit more quaint, smaller, very high tech.
So usually working in larger geometries with
yes,
bigger materials and everything.
Exactly. These materials need to be applied in much higher volumes.
Right.
So think about thermal interface materials for heat dissipation, sealant materials to do gasketing, potting materials for automotive where you need to protect the sensors for the automotive industry. So all those are bulk fed materials where you will need to feed them from pails or drums, right? They get fed into the system. In this case, this particular system is equipped with a 2-part positive cavity displacement pump. So you're volumetrically feeding into a static mixer, and the fluid pressure will mix
the two parts together.
Mix the two parts together, and then it reaches a check valve, which is on and off.
Right.
If you look at the system on the inside, it's much beefier because it needs to carry a much heavier payload.
Of course,
And then the conveyor systems are totally different. The inspection systems that we design for are different. And the process requirements are different. There's a lot of MES integration that goes into these systems.
Yes.
Some of these assemblies are not your normal, SMT bare boards. They're enclosures. So they're heavy.
I was going to say, they must be quite heavy, some of these things, because they're parts that are used in car manufacturing and things like that.
There's assemblies that'll weigh 20 kilos.
Right.
That we need to bring in, right? So it's much different than SMT.
Much different, very different.
So how do you do quality control on those? We'll talk to you that on the next machine.
Okay.
This one we're going to open it up.
Yeah.
This machine actually has an integrated scale and a 2D inspection.
Yes. Very interesting. So basically, this is measuring the deposition or checking that the material that was deposited in the right quantity, and so it does it by weight.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then it's got the UV inspection.
It has a different lighting source to get the entire area. There's also, in a typical line that's fully automated, you would have a similar machine in front. Like I said, these assemblies weigh 20 kilos at a time. So how do you know what's being dispensed? It's by the difference, right? 20 kilos coming in, is it 22 coming out? Right. Okay, then you know it's 2 kilos. Then how does it look like? Like you said, they inspect it, right?
Yeah.
So that's how they do. That's how we can get quality control, all control through MES.
So that's AOI industrial style.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, you've got a very comprehensive range there, Jeff. But all material dispensing companies and coating companies are really, it comes down to their range of valves.
Yes.
So you've got a few shown here in the middle of the room, etc. Can we maybe talk about some of the range of the different valves that you have at Mycronic?
Yes, I can probably distinguish it in 3 major groups.
Okay.
Right? One group is our dispensing valves for SMT applications. So we talked about the jet in a little bit of detail before.
Yeah.
But we also have auger valves, positive cavity displacement valves,
Yep.
which are for SMT level applications, which we consider very precise applications. We can call that precise dispensing.
Okay.
That's one set of valves, one family of valves, which we own and develop all our technology in-house.
Okay. What about the semiconductor side? Because I mean that, you know, the geometries are reducing there all the time. It's getting more and more difficult. There's lots of process challenges there. How do you deal with that?
So unfortunately, we cannot have all the machines that we make here. We have the machines that are mostly sold in this area.
Yeah.
But if you go to our lab in China, we do have machines that are actually dual dynamic independent heads with jets that you have a wafer feeder coming in,
Yeah.
and you're doing automatic jetting on the fly, dual heads on a single wafer, right? So it's a totally different beast,
Yes.
but it's still dispensing, right? So
Yes.
and then also that's clean room, so that has its own, has to have its own
Challenges too.
challenges.
Yeah.
So we do have those as well. Again, 900 people, a lot of teams focused on different applications because dispensing is a very broad industry.
Right. Wonderful. Okay, so let's take a walk now upstairs because, you know, this is obviously the room where all the nice toys are, but upstairs you've got some training, you've got some other facilities up there. Let's go up and
Yes,
take a look at
upstairs we have finance, we
Yeah.
have logistics, we have one of the training rooms, we have the other training room down here, and we have customer service.
that. Okay.
So, as I mentioned, you know, there's a lot of people working here. We're actively hiring,
Yep.
right, as of today still,
Yeah.
because we need to catch up with the business.
Yes.
Right, and we need to function as its subsidiary,
Yeah.
and the more independent we are, the faster we can service our customers.
Yeah, cool.
So this is the administration part of the facility.
Okay.
We saw where the applications lab is. We see where,
Yep.
there's also the warehouse down there. But here, this is where we have our lunch area. So this is a little prep room where we have,
Yeah.
keep our lunch and stuff. But then we have the administrative offices where we have finance, we have logistics,
Yes.
we have a sales office here.
Yes.
Customer service is going to be out here.
Out here,
Right
okay.
now it's prep for the show, so there's a lot of stuff on the table.
I could see that.
And then we have the conference room area here as well for upstairs conferences and for extra training space.
Excellent. Well, I mean, the conference room looks really well laid out. How many people do you think you can accommodate in there?
Oh, we can easily have 8, 9 people.
Yeah.
No problem. And then we can bring
Yeah.
chairs up.
So the plan is once you're fully up and running, is you can offer this to your customers to bring in groups of 8 or 10 people
Yes.
for training at a time.
We already do. I think when it comes to training, we want to keep it small. 4, 5, 6 people maximum for training,
Right.
Because whenever you're training on equipment, there's something that I took years ago called PVET, performance-based equipment training, where you want to see, listen to what I tell you, see how I do it, now you do it.
Right.
So for everybody to have a chance and to learn properly, you have to go through the motions, and the only way to give that time is when the groups are small.
Christian Vega is Director of Sales for AXXON Mycronic throughout the Americas. He handles the manufacturer's reps and distributors in the United States. But south of the border, Miguel Gonzalez takes a slightly different approach for the Mexico market. So welcome, Miguel. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you here.
Yeah,
Welcome,
exciting.
Bruce.
Yeah, beautiful building that you've got here. So great conditions to be working in, of course. So tell me a little bit about the sales structure here in Mexico. You're the sales manager. How have you structured it? It seems that we're very close to the US, which uses a rep system, if you like.
Correct.
But you're using more a direct sales system down here. Can you explain how it works?
Yeah, sure. Actually, thank you for being here. We have a structure working with two reps in Mexico by now. Yeah, we have built a very strong relationship with the reps here in Mexico, during the north and the center of Mexico.
Yeah.
And now I'm leading the sales here locally. Yeah, so I'm reporting to my director in the US. So we have a structure helping all the Mexico area and also South America, Latam, everything in Brazil, and the other countries in the south of South America. So
Okay.
that's the structure now here in Mexico.
Right. So the salespeople that you have here in Mexico, are they spread out geographically around the country, or are they all based here in Guadalajara?
They are in different locations in different states of Mexico, right? One of their sales reps are in Querétaro. We have sales reps in Tijuana. We have sales reps in Monterrey, right? Attending different, like the main areas for electronic companies. So that's the distribution right now here in Mexico.
Okay, I see. So you mentioned there, of course, that you're also handling Brazil, and that's obviously a different territory altogether. How do you handle it down there?
Well, actually, right now our sales director is handling Brazil. Yeah, we give the support when it's necessary. But by now, Christian Vega, who is our sales director for Latam in the US, he's leading all the sales in Brazil. Yeah, when he requests support in Brazil for any other matter, when he's like really busy attending business in the US, we are coming to the table and starting discussion if it's necessary with the customers.
I see. Excellent. Okay, great. And how do you find it dealing with the customers down here? I mean, you're working with a lot of OEMs and tier 1 customers, and you've also got a mix as well of tier 2s and smaller guys. How do you handle them differently, or how do you work it?
Well, actually, we're trying to have the same focus in all the projects we have with the customer, right? Because we are leading all kind of different projects with the customers, with the automotive industry, with the contractors, like everything related to the dispensing process. So it depends on the project, but we are trying to give the same attention to all the projects here in Mexico, because our main focus is to have a great market share here, right? That's why we have our subsidiary here in Mexico. We are trying to be focused with the main customers, but also giving like the same attention to all our customer base in Mexico.
Yeah, well, you've certainly got that with the number of different service engineers you've got here and everything else. So, yeah, thank you very much for that, and we look forward to having great success here in Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Interesting speaking to Miguel there about the sales infrastructure here. One of the things that we didn't talk about so far is the spare parts systems. Obviously, you need to have a lot of spare parts inventory to be able to service machines and valves and all that type of thing. How are you set up for that?
So we have our own spare parts warehouse here on site, and this spare parts warehouse is servicing all of the Americas. So again, Mexico is the largest single location for dispensing globally outside of China. So we have it here in Mexico. But for customers in the US, we ship to the US, and we ship also to Brazil and to any other country that's within the Americas that has our systems.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense. Well, a very impressive facility, Jeff.
Well, thank you.
You're
welcome. Thank you for coming over.
Yeah, and thank you for taking the time to show it to us today.
Well, thank you.
Okay.